Hello, everybody. Live from our new home of SoFi Stadium in the city of champions, Inglewood, California. It's the O-ZONE. I'm here live with my brother, Terry Miller, also known as the Icons, who I'm facing in the fantasy baseball semifinals right now.
It's looking all bad for me right now, brother.
I don't know.
It's
like
looking all bad.
Explode.
I do. On the
How you feeling
fastball
today?
I'm feeling great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How's your Diamond Dynasty game?
Terrible.
Terrible. We don't know. We love to game, but we only play one game.
And it is Diamond Dynasty, the double D.
It's MLB The Show 21. You can find us online.
Getting some smoke. Getting some smoke. Again, and I got a lot of it yesterday.
Oh, my goodness.
I was one and 7 or something like that.
Bad news. He's in the 600s or 5s.
You can be love. I think.
All right, nobody knows what we're talking about. We got a great show for you today. A lot of boxing to talk about. Whole lot of things happening in the world of boxing. The NFL's got big news with Cam Newton getting dropped, which I find very interesting. Jameis making some noise. We got the Major League Baseball, and the Dodgers are back in first place where they belong. But let's start it up with some boxing. What a week in boxing. And last night, I feel like a bombshell dropped, even though nobody's talking about it being a bombshell. Last night, Devin Haney, 130-pound titleist, I think he's 130. I know he's 130. I think he has the belt at 135.
Yeah, 135.
Yeah, and he was at 130. Actually just came out on Twitter and said, listen, everybody in Eddy Reynoso's camp is dirty. He said everybody in the camp is on the needle. And what does that tell you? And Eddy Reynoso, who is Canelo Alvarez's trainer, did not appreciate it. And this all spawned.
Nor did Ryan Garcia.
Who is his nemesis that they seem like they'll never actually fight.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting because all of this spawned because Oscar Valdez, who won a monster fight earlier this year over Miguel Berchelt, which he was the complete underdog, and he was devastated because his idol Julio Cesar Chavez picked against him because Berchelt is a monster.
Right.
And he knocked Berchelt out. And
now we know why.
Ooh, do we know why? Because they're saying that first they said it was a diuretic. And super featherweight champion Jamel Herring came out and said, listen, man, the diuretic obviously is a way to get other banned substances out of your system.
Right. You're trying to flush your system. And
now they're saying it wasn't a diuretic. It was something else that was banned.
I can't even pronounce the name, to be honest.
It's a
Malamal.
Yes. And somehow or another, it's now finally becoming acceptable for boxers to speak out. It's very interesting because the reason I say it's a big deal is because in the past, you never really heard boxers talk about other boxers being on the juice. It's almost like they all just sweep it on the rug, which kind of leads you to believe that possibly they're on the juice.
I really don't. You know what? This is just, it's not even a sticky situation. Honestly, they need to start holding.
Pun intended.
They need to hold these guys accountable. Most of these guys aren't being held accountable. The Canelo, Reynoso, the whole camp. You need to go in there and clean house. Basically, somebody has to pay a price for them testing dirty and just give them a little slap on the wrist, pushing the fights back a little bit. And then
they said it was an A sample, so they're still awaiting the B sample,
Yeah.
which usually the B sample just confirms the A sample.
Yes.
But
then there's no punishment. I mean, what's the actual punishment? You don't get to fight for 6 months? You're not going to fight for 6 months anyway.
Yeah.
So what does it matter? I mean, literally, these guys need to be punished in some form or fashion. Stripped of a title. Stripped.
Oh, wait. They want to strip the power of the black.
You need to strip it away. Take a title, take some cheese, do something, but letting these guys just get away with it is a problem.
Wow.
Yeah.
I find it really interesting that Devin Haney came out and said something.
I'm glad he put him on
came
blast.
out and said something. And these are guys that are in that weight class. They're near Oscar Valdez.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Tainted meat, diuretics.
Herbal tea. He tried to say it was an herbal tea.
Herbal tea. Come on, dude. If it was an herbal tea, you should have checked it before you drank it.
Victor Conti of Balco fame, the king
flusher.
He is the king flusher, the king of microdosing. Mm-hmm. Came out and said there's absolutely no way that this thing that he tested positive for is in an herbal tea.
Yes.
Or that he didn't know what he was doing.
Or if it was, you put it in there.
You sprinkled that on top of your tea. Oh, man.
So yeah, it's going down, but it's
a really big deal.
Yeah, but it's not right because a lot of those guys get in there. I was doing some research on it, and they're speaking on how, you know, in the earlier parts of the fight you're able to throw reps and get you know, your system going, and then even in the latter part of the fight you can still throw reps and everything else, you know, punches and bunches as if you were in the first round because you're on the juice. It's not cool, dude. And especially when you start talking about the big boys, because now you're talking about somebody being able maybe.
That's murder. As the Bronze Bomber came and told us, if he got on the juice, it might be murder in the ring. But then again, he likes to talk about killing people in the ring nowadays for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that's on him. Which leads us to the next case, because what I heard about, and there was this big to-do with the Jake Paul Tyron Woodley fight. Now, folks, we haven't even spoken about the Jake Paul Tyron Woodley fight because I think the whole thing, the whole spectacle of what they got going is absurd. It's unfortunate.
Well,
it's
and the thing of
sport.
it is bad for the sport, but
for both sports. But it's good for these boxers and the UFC guys.
Yes, but what they're doing is that there's a place for it, but I don't think that the place is to actually act as if this is actually a professional boxing match, because it's not.
Well, this is the issue, and we have our very first guest on the O-Zone, who's going to be our very first guest to bring the O-Zone back.
Nice.
Actor Robbie Jones is live on a Zoom, ready to talk to us from the UFC perspective.
I see you.
I see you.
I see you.
What's happening, Private Jones?
Right?
Brothers. What's
How you
up,
doing?
T? What's up? Oh.
You got it?
So the man, the myth, the legend, cooling out with a fly hat on.
Nice.
Got his auntie's hat on, but we're going to give him love still. Robbie Jones, actor international extraordinaire. How you feeling, Big Papa? Just had another seed. What's going on with the family game? Talk to us.
Congrats.
Man, I'm feeling fantastic. I appreciate that, T. Man, it's a beautiful thing, man. Fatherhood
It's a
is
blessing.
where it's at, fellas. You already know.
This is where it's at. But is where it's at these exhibition / mixed boxing combat sport situation. We just started talking about the Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley situation. Now, we haven't even spoken on the fight. I don't even really feel the need to speak on the fight, except for to make the points that it is that I feel like need to be made, that all in all, it's a show, it's a spectacle, it's a farce. And the truth of the matter is, this speaks to the danger of the casual fan for me. Because the casual fan, you read the absurd things that people say about Jake Paul. Now he's ready to fight Canelo, and how Logan Paul is better than Floyd Mayweather, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Absurd things that people are saying, and it just feeds into the hyperloop of misinformation that we are living in right now that is proving to be as dangerous as any nuclear weapon on the planet, because it messes up people's minds.
Yeah, but you're saying there's a hyperloop of misinformation, but this is what these people are seeing with their eyes, and they've deduced that this is fact because they're watching something and saying that a person that really can't box is better than Floyd Mayweather.
But that's because what they're seeing in front of their eyes is already manipulated. Case in point, I don't know what the weight limit was or the weight class is, but Tyron Woodley's last fight was at 147 pounds.
Right. And you can see the big difference in size.
That's a welterweight, 147 pounds. Jake Paul enters the ring probably 180, 185.
He looked like he was closer to 200 this time.
And they have weight classes for a reason. You know, you have a guy who's a young guy.
Still got knocked through the ropes.
Still got knocked through the ropes and got held up by the ropes, but it didn't get called a knockdown because one guy sells tickets and the other guy doesn't necessarily matter.
Yes.
These fights, I'm gonna give you the floor in 1 minute, Rob. But these fights right here are totally and completely skewed against the UFC fighter in every single way except for one. And that one way that the UFC fighter wins in comparison to his normal circumstance is his purse. Because what the dirty little secret is what we're finding out now, that the general public is finding out now, is that most of the mixed martial artists, combat artists fight UFC, MMA, $8,000, $20,000,
Yes.
$30,000. They're not
high
making
20G.
any money. No. They're making no dough for the risk that they're taking. So when a Jake Paul, you can go in there with a guy whose skill set doesn't add up to yours whatsoever, but it doesn't matter because you're getting $850,000. Jake Paul took money out of his purse and gave it to the other boxers on the undercard that he liked, which really changes the game. Take it away, Rob. How do you feel about it?
I hear a lot of truth in what you're saying. I I feel like it really is unfortunate that these guys that are out there doing this MMA stuff can't really make a real living doing it, because in some ways the UFC and mixed martial arts has kind of taken over the whole combat sports space. And these guys aren't, John Jones has been saying this for years, these guys aren't getting enough money. And I think that's the reason why you don't see John Jones fighting in the UFC, because he's like, pay me my paper. And I'm worth this. Nobody has ever beat me in this space. I'm the greatest of all time. And you want to give me this chump change? I don't think so. So to see these fights, these spectacles happening, I can't blame these guys, first of all. And then second of all, they're getting exposed. they don't have either the stamina or they don't have the capacity to do the sweet science. The MMA game doesn't really translate as well as
it doesn't translate.
It doesn't translate at all, and vice versa. You know what I mean? I'm sure if these guys who are boxers, you see when these guys are boxers, James Toney and some of these other guys try to get in the ring, they just get annihilated because they're two different things.
You would get submitted real quick.
They're totally different disciplines.
Right.
And what's happening is
but there's no happy medium.
There is no happy medium, but what the happy medium is
paper.
the bread. That's the happy medium. Because what your casual fan is saying is I don't care. First of all, I don't want to be informed. I don't care that it's not fair. I don't care that it's a balanced playing field or not. All I want is some violence.
Right.
And this is a serious problem that we're seeing in society.
Right.
The bloodlust is at the highest levels right now.
So now are we like in a Roman Coliseum type environment? You know, where the audience and the stage are us watching this virtually and watching these guys in a combat situation? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
So we're literally sitting in the Coliseum watching the Roman gladiators fight.
Oh, you know Ginger James! Oh, you know Ginger James! That's what's happening.
Yeah.
See, I don't feel like it's that.
I honestly do. It's the new version of this because you're watching a guy fight against a tiger or lion and all these other things that don't mix or match. This is these guys doing their version of a combat sport that was actually going on in the past as if it's a fair fight. These aren't fair fights that are going on.
Not fair fights.
And these aren't. And I actually don't even think that they're entertaining, to tell the truth. I feel like after you watch it, you feel like, oh, man, I wasted my time with this, you know, and people are wasting bread watching it. And
It's that part. It's that part. It's
right.
People want to see people that they see are famous go in there and punch each other. That's really
all
it.
it is.
That's
all it is.
It has, and they do everything to sell the fight. Oh, you talked about my mama. Oh, you touched my hat. Oh, you messed with my hair. You said something about my girl, and we hype it up and make everybody think, oh, they're gonna tear each other's heads off. But as soon as that ding, ding, ding,
and they walk around and don't throw any punches.
And these guys aren't. The skills level is not there. So what you do is end up feeling like you wasted money on a fight because after 3 rounds, both of these guys is dog tired.
Yeah.
And none of them are fighting at their weight class. It's mismatched.
I haven't wasted $1 on any of these, nor 1 minute. I can't tell you what happens in the fight other than the clips that show on Twitter. Because to me, if I just want to see some jackass go around and fight, I can go to a bar.
Or 7-Eleven.
That's what I'm saying.
Or 7-Eleven. Parking lot.
Yeah.
It's going down.
Or the football game. I can see what it is. On one hand, I'm happy that people are getting money. Yeah. Jake Paul took $1 million out of his purse and gave Amanda Serrano the biggest payday for a women's boxing match
in history
ever.
Wow. And she looked good too.
She got $500,000. She always looks. She looks sharp. Yeah. She's always sharp. Yeah. That's the thing about her.
She's always.
She doesn't come in there to play. Yeah. She comes in there to win for her $20,000 and her $30,000, which she wasn't getting paid. Now you're talking about picking up $500G. You make some noise.
Make some noise.
$500 cash. She going back to Puerto Rico and doing what she got to do.
And then somebody's going to ask her to do it again. Come on, dude. You know you're going to do that. I mean, $500, I got to take it.
Somebody's going to ask her to do it again. And she's actually fighting against other fighters that are, in her weight
Not
class
like
and so on and so forth.
The top card.
Yeah. I mean, she's made her co-main event. I
actually think that they should come up with a new category because it actually brings down, it does more of a boost for the MMA audience and UFC audience than it does from actual boxing fans because.
That part.
Yeah, because
it needs to be a categorical change for a lot of stuff in society but this particular needs its own category. These fights being sanctioned, these fights would never be sanctioned under a normal circumstance.
No. So is the sanctioning body just a game?
More or less, but it's statewide because it's the Ohio sanctioning body. That fight brought a lot of money to Cleveland,
Right.
so that the Cleveland Athletic Commission is apt to say, yeah, let's do this. And nobody got hurt. Nobody, you know what I mean? It wasn't like it ended up working out. But
I think the coolest thing about the fight was Jake Paul's belt. I like that belt.
I didn't see the belt.
Little thing, it was almost like a marquee. It was
I didn't see it.
going around in circles saying Jake Paul.
I just saw
was
bits
belt.
and pieces of the fight, and I was rooting for Tyron Woodley.
I was too.
I thought he was, but honestly, he got to hang it up. He got to hang it up.
But here's the thing. This is, I mean, you could argue, even though it's not the same at all, but it's very similar to the Manny Pacquiao situation. You got a 24-year-old guy fighting a 40-year-old guy. Those things always favor the 24-year-old guy if things are equal. This situation was not equal, obviously. But in Jake's situation, the thing that I have to give the Paul brothers credit for is that they have pioneered a business model that allows them to benefit for the rest of their lives from something that is really not that dangerous. Because it's dangerous if they were in against other people who were professional boxers. Any level of I'm talking about club fighters.
Right.
Any level of professional boxing.
Someone asked me just yesterday, do you think Jake Paul could beat Tyson Fury's brother?
It's unbelievable.
I told him, I said, are you crazy? That dude would put him to sleep probably in the first minute. That dude's a real fighter. He's
not even good like that. But he's a real fighter.
But he's a real
and I
boxer,
don't
man.
think his dad is going to go along with that nonsense.
No.
I don't get the feeling
God.
John Fury is playing games with this dude.
But this was the next thing that they're trying to hype up. So what they've basically
But he
done
won't
is
do that. He shouldn't do that. From a business perspective, Jake Paul, Logan Paul, they need to keep this spectacle alive as long as they can. And now they're real fights.
which is ridiculous.
But what they've done is they've gotten Showtime to buy in. Mm-hmm. And it just speaks to the fact of how much on its last legs boxing actually is. Because two dudes who are YouTubers with no skill and with a decent amount of showmanship, I would say Jake Paul is actually a really good showman. He's sharp when it comes to, and this is what made him a social media star, both of them. They understand showmanship and they understand spectacle. That's a big deal in today's society. But these two bozos, and I actually like Logan. I never met Jake, but I actually like Logan. Logan is the homie. Yeah. But these two bozos, I stay with it. These two bozos, and I mean this affectionately, have figured out a way to hack the system so that they made themselves as important as everybody that is not Canelo, that is not Tank, that is not Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury. Yeah. There's not really anybody else
more important.
There's nobody other than those four guys that I would say that is more important financially right now to the boxing space than these two bozos. And boxing should be ashamed. This would be the equivalent of if I decided during the height of my Ballers fame that I'm going to go face Novak Djokovic at the finals of the French Open.
What's even worse is they would let you.
And that's where I was going.
Yeah.
Is that then the French Federation says, we need Omar to play Nadal. Maybe it is a good idea. I don't know. It's good money, huh? This is the trick. And they've been able to do that, and they've gotten the endorsement of DAZN. They've gotten the endorsement of Showtime. Then this is how you get, from what I understand, he actually lost the fight, but they gave him the decision.
Yes.
So this is how you get this. It's just unbelievable to me. You got 20,000 people in an arena with no mask, willing to risk catching COVID to watch a bozo fight a former UFC fighter.
That's the key part. These guys are former.
Yeah.
Of course.
They're not fighting anybody who's current fighter.
They're not fighting.
They're not fighting any current.
That's
people
why
that
I
are
say
relevant.
the risk.
And I don't think it'll ever
mitigated.
The risk to reward, right?
Yes.
The risk is so
Yes.
even if Ty Wood would have knocked him out, it would
matter.
have still been worth $4 million.
Of
Definitely.
course.
But it seems like
Ty Wood can knock me out for $4 real quick.
Can he? Hey, Ty, come on in. We got him.
You got my point?
Right. I'm not even training. I might get knocked out on the way to the ring. Oh.
Oh, wake up, man. Come on, man. You got it.
You got the Holy Ghost.
Where's my check? Where's my check?
This is the whole thing. This is the whole situation. And so, you look at it and Michael Bisping, is that how you say the name? Bisping? Bisping. I'm not no disrespect. I don't know the UFC stars like that. But I saw him coming out speaking on it. And it makes a lot of these guys mad, and it should make them mad.
Because somebody's getting paid big time money for not even taking the risk. And
that's exactly it.
And I've worked out, I've done the training camp and everything else. Yeah.
I got beat up.
Yes. I've taken all the lumps and there's no payout.
And I can't pay my mortgage.
Yeah.
Listen, man.
Or my rent.
These are two different things. And you can't be mad at that. Like Bisping, you could go the route of getting in the best shape of your life and going out and try to win the UFC championship. Or you could go the route of creating an image for yourself that people want to see and then merging yourself into the lane of spectacle fighter.
Right.
There's two different things. And you have to decide, where's the money at? If it's about money, if that's what you're mad about, if it's about money, you find out where the money is. Is the money going to try to work your way up to UFC and making at the top of your career $100,000 for a fight? Or is the money getting yourself in decent shape, creating a following, and then calling somebody out who used to fight?
My biggest problem with the fight was after the fight when Woodley said, hey, we got to do this again. We got to do this again, man. We got the biggest pay-per-view, whatever. That's pandering to, and then the kid comes back and talks to him about getting a tattoo. I don't think I can even do that. I don't even know if I can get the tattoo for $4. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not getting the tattoo. Yeah, but I'm not fooling with the midget tattoo.
Yeah, but I think that it's under consideration. You know what I'm saying? For $4 million, now you're asking him to sell something more than just the fight. If you're asking him to brand himself with your name.
That was the bet, though. That was the bet they made before the fight.
I know, but this is what I'm saying. It's too far.
But either way it goes, we're talking about it. The world has talked about it, and that's the goal. The big problem is athletes, former athletes, people who didn't end up making it professionally, like myself, or so on and so forth. There's a serious problem where you can't separate your love for the game and admiration for the spirit of sport and so on and so forth from the business.
Yeah, recognizing that the sport actually doesn't love you. You love the sport.
This is why you have an Alex Rodriguez on Sunday Night Baseball.
Yes, stinking to join up.
Stinking to join up with bad commentary, the lamest voice you can hear, a monotone voice with bad commentary.
A fastball. For real. It's going like 95 miles an hour. It's a fastball.
With almost $1 billion in the bank from the game of baseball, which he did dirty. Yeah. And you look at it, and it goes back to something else in society where sport is supposed to be where everything is equal, where everything is in that gets made right, that is wrong in society, and the corruption that is taking place in sport with this the carnival barking circus that comes to town with this different stuff, with corruption, with cheating, and so on and so forth, gets incentivized. Yes. That's the problem. Now, I personally have less of a problem with Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley than I do with guys getting caught taking the needle.
Yeah, definitely.
Because those guys, Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley, told you what it is. They're going to fight.
And we're going to put on the show.
And we're going to put on the show. We're going to build it up. We're going to put on the show. If you buy into it and you buy it, that's up to you. Yeah. Alex Rodriguez and his ilk are deceiving me. They're deceiving the public into making me believe his 500-foot home run is legitimate when if everybody else involved, including the pitcher and everybody else on the field, is not also on the juice, it's actually illegitimate.
Right.
So there's so much to be covered there in the world of sport, in the world of,
going deep.
Yeah, but this is what it's about. Because if we can't count on sport, you already know you have a problem with counting on politicians. You know you have a problem with counting on so many different elements of society. You're supposed to be able to count on sport. This is why it's so valuable when you watch the Super Bowl, when you watch October baseball, when you watch a big fight, because it's supposed to mean more to those guys than it even means to you.
Right.
And what you're coming to find is the result means more to those guys. The reason boxers are walking around all the time, punch drunk and this, that, and the other, is because the fight, every fight meant more to them than it did to anybody else in the world, regardless of getting paid.
But you're even going even deeper than that because you're talking about he's going deep because now we're talking about our judicial system is the same way. Because it's not right. It's not about right or wrong. It's about winning. It comes down to winning. So whether you were wrong in the first place, it doesn't matter. If you have enough to afford an attorney or a great attorney, then you can get out with the wrong.
And herein lies the great American defect. You look at the situation with this Sackler family, the people who makes the OxyContin, and now they get to the Purdue Pharmaceuticals. These people get out, give up $4.5 billion, but they keep their money, and nobody goes to prison.
Right.
You guys are the largest dope dealers in the history of the world. You guys are bigger than Pablo Escobar. You guys have the entire country and the entire world hooked on opioids. And the United States government just said, hey, it's okay. And this pertains to sports in the same way of putting out something different than actually having to have the consequence. So that if you are A-Rod and you get caught juicing, but you hit 600 and something home runs, you will escape the consequences. But if you're Pete Rose and you actually do some petty gambling, nobody will ever mistake Pete Rose for being a lesser ball player than A-Rod or anybody else, to be honest. He may be the greatest baseball player to ever lace the cleats up.
Right. Need him on Diamond Dynasty.
Do we ever? Yeah. But if you're Pete Rose and your crime is smaller, it's not big enough for you to get away with it. This is what we're seeing in society. This is why we have 50 belts across the weight classes in boxing. That's a problem.
Well, I like what the WBA did. They're saying they're trimming the fat on all that, which is actually stepping up finally. Because you can't keep having all these different interim belts and gold belt or blue belt,
Regular belt, super regular belt, championship belt. What you got, Rob?
Here's the slippery slope, though.
Lay it on.
Don't slip.
There's all this fundamental foundation and moralistic things built into this concept of sport for some people.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, professional sports is simply entertainment. Like that's the rub.
That's the bottom line.
That's the rub. Because people see sport as like, oh, this is the foundation of society. If everything ain't going wrong, we could always turn to basketball. We could always turn to good old boxing or the sweet science or whatever. But like once you put money into it, it is now just a part of the entertainment industry. It's just like a movie. It's just like Disneyland.
Because now you have a vested interest.
It is all about money. And what I've learned over time is that these companies, the NBA, MLB, like they're all about making more money.
That's all it is. And that is the function of their organization.
Right. If we got to call more fouls,
if we got to bring in the fences, if we got to let guys juice,
if we got to let people juice a little bit, if we got to make sure that the boxing, we don't have no open scoring because we want the right people to win. Like it's all about that bag. So that's the part that we can't ever forget because we throw all this morals into sport, which is a separate thing than professional athletics.
But you hit the word there. You hit the nail on the head there because it's professional. Because when you grow up playing sports are so foundational for society because they teach young people so much about society and how it should run.
The disciplines of life.
The discipline, the teamwork, the collaboration component, all of this, the integrity, all of these different things that are included in sport underneath the professional level.
Yes.
But when the bread gets involved,
once you sign that contract,
it's a different animal.
The bread becomes toxic, in a lot of ways.
Because you've contracted yourself to some bigger entity that is all about making money off of
whose job it is to make money.
Exactly. So that's where the difference is. So that I'll just leave that there.
Deep. Rob, talk to me. Who do you got coming up in the UFC that you're excited about seeing fight? I'm not the most savvy dude in the world. I try to watch, but they start rolling around on the ground. It gets real bloody. It's tough for me to figure out what's going on. Talk to me. What are the fights we're looking forward to?
Honestly, man, I'm so edge of my seat waiting to see John Jones back in the UFC. I follow him on Instagram. He's putting on weight. He's a heavyweight now. He's looking like his brothers. I mean, the boy looks like he's straight, like they cut from the same cloth. John was always the Bones Jones skinny dude, but he walk around looking like Chandler. You know what I'm saying? He's heavyweight now.
Yeah, but I want to ask you about that because You forgive him for
that's where I was gonna go.
All the juicing,
all the juicing, all the drug use, all
the way that he took Cormier's title and all that kind of stuff, and you can just sweep that under the rug.
You look to the side, in spite of everything that we're talking about.
Yeah.
You can look to the side with all that and say, I cannot wait for him to get back in the ring.
100%. And
now why is that?
You want to see? You want to hear why?
Yes.
Are you not entertained?
All you want is that Russell Crowe.
Professional athletics is entertainment, my brothers. And this man has not been defeated. And he's, as much as he's gotten aired out, think of all the people that he's beat that have not got aired out.
But
that's an assumption that you're making that you can't.
I'm not saying it's happening, and I'm not saying it's true. But
well, that's what you're implying when you say think of all the other people who didn't get aired out.
Like a guy like a Cormier who he beat, what is it, twice, 3 times, but he's been on the juice every time.
He hasn't been on the juice every time. That's not true.
Well, how many times have you been on the juice against Cormier? The last time he was definitely on the juice.
How many times do you get to be on the juice and then not be on the juice and be like, oh no, but right now I wasn't on the juice?
Yeah.
No, it was cocaine.
No, he was on the juice.
He was on the juice as well as cocaine.
He was on the juice one time. They got caught.
That's like being pregnant one time. You know, like
So he OJ the juice man now.
Listen, what you want from me? I didn't tell him to take it. Right.
He got caught.
So you basically you're up for an exemption. You get a 1 to 2 time juice exemption if your entertainment is high enough.
It's cold game,
man. So you endorse an A-Rod type.
Right.
Seiko, McGuire, A-Rod. Come on, man. Lance, Armstrong. I mean,
you're with all of them.
But this is the problem, though.
This is society. This is where we are.
We incentivize it.
We incentivize it, and now you know.
And it's just like I was talking about earlier. There's no consequence of recourse.
There's no consequence because now you get in there and get your ass busted by John Jones.
Yeah, and he could actually kill you.
And he can actually kill you.
Listen, man. They need to go ahead on and just take take it off. They got
take the ban off.
You want everybody to be able to juice out.
Juice them up. We're professionals. It's about the money, right?
Not for me, but I hear what you're saying. I've heard that argument before.
Let these cats perform at their highest. Everybody, if I juice, you juice, T juice. We not all.
But guess what though? We can't even get people to take the vax. How you gonna get everybody to take the juice?
Believe me. These cats is out here on that thing, boy. They out here on that thing. Okay. If you let them do it, they're gonna be on it, and that's the crazy part. If 10 people in the room is on the juice, we not all gonna be the same.
And we're also not all going to survive. This is the other part of it, because because the truth of the matter is, once again, the sport is supposed to be a role model for your kids.
Right.
So now what you're doing in that scenario is you're telling your kids, and this is the beef that I've always had with the A-Rods of the world. Because of an A-Rod, there are several people who never made it to the show. Whose game was nice enough to make it to the major leagues.
But I decided not to take the juice.
I decided not to take the juice.
Yeah. And now I can't get past single or double A, maybe rookie ball, because A-Rod's got that spot locked up because he's been on the juice since high school.
And not only that, but because he's been on the juice since high school, he can put up 55, 60 bombs, which raises the tier. So my 25, 30 bombs is no longer actually premier when it should be premier. But that's okay because Rob says it's all entertainment.
Man, once you sign a contract, it's entertainment.
Okay.
It's
ladies and gentlemen, Robbie Jones.
It's a cold world.
First member of the O-Zone, and he's back again.
It's cold out here.
It's ice cold.
It is ice
Rob,
cold.
you got anything you want to promote right now?
No, man, just promoting love. Okay.
Hey,
my brothers.
Then you got everything to promote.
There's nothing better than love.
You understand me? It's nothing better than love out here, man. And I got nothing but love for y'all, man.
Hit the book of Corinthians and find out.
That's it.
Come on, man.
That Luther Vandross.
Hey,
there's nothing better than love. What in the world could you have? Love be thinking of. It's better by far. All right. Well, good hearing from you, Robbie. Thanks for chiming in, and we'll catch you sooner than later.
All right, brothers. Love y'all. Peace.
Love you back. All right, so great call there. Staying in line with boxing. Some interesting news came out. You know, Oscar De La Hoya is about to fight again, along with some of the other old timers. Unlike everybody else, though, Oscar actually looks good.
Yes, he really does. I was very, very impressed.
He looks better than he looked against training for the Manny Pacquiao fight and whatnot years ago. And one of the things that he talked about as far as getting the six-pack back and getting into shape and whatnot was how he didn't want to throw his life away, and how he almost immediately after he lost to Manny Pacquiao and he retired, almost immediately he regretted retiring, which was interesting because he gave you a liver shot.
He did.
That
Dude, what's up?
that almost took you down. Just because.
It looked like you wanted to get me. I was like, what? I just saw you a few minutes ago, man. Now you have
one time we were hanging with Oscar and he just punched T in the liver and almost broke him down. Nice, quick one. Professional.
Whoa.
Very professional.
It was.
Short.
He kept, they looked at me.
You're like, yeah.
I still got it. You still got it, dude.
So Oscar came out and shared something deeply personal and said that he was basically raped when he was 13 years old by a 35-year-old woman that was a part of a boxing tournament that he was at in Hawaii. And
yeah, you know what's interesting about that is that most people don't ever really think about women being predators as well.
Yes.
And preying on a little boy is really sick.
It is. And especially, like so many times that we've seen, what that does to people.
Yes, the rewiring of that person.
While that person is trying to get their wiring together
in
its development stages.
Yes. It's very, very unfortunate to hear about that. You know,
And,
but
he spoke about what that did to him and how that led him to repress that.
Yes.
And how even though through all the success and everything, he was always searching for himself and he always was questioning himself.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where you've seen him get into a lot of different situations that are sticky. A lot of trouble with the fishnet pantyhose, with the drug and alcohol addictions, with a lot of different controversy. And you come to find that this is the source.
Yeah, you come to find that they suppress that, you compartmentalize it, and then you act like it's going to go away without getting any help or treatment, and then it blows up in your face eventually. And that's what happened to him. You know, but he's still, he's trying to change his life around. He's trying to get purpose in his life, and you can see that.
And it's key.
It's
key.
Really key.
And I hope that this fight works out well for him, however long this comeback lasts.
Either way, it's going to work because it's something that he wants to do.
You can see he wants it. He's committed.
Yeah.
And he is one of the greatest boxers of all time.
Yeah.
Sleep if you need to. Oscar De La Hoya didn't duck nobody. I wasn't a big Oscar De La Hoya fan as a boxer at all. I hated the Golden Boy image and all of that. But Oscar De La Hoya was nice.
He was the real deal.
Yeah. You had a fight on your hands when he was coming to fight. And the way that he ended up going out was really unfortunate because, as all boxers do, he overstayed his welcome. And
but he lost a lot of the crowd, especially the Latin crowds, when he beat Julio Cesar Chavez like that. It was like, nah, dude,
they
you can't do that.
Torch. But Chavez shouldn't have fought him.
I didn't make you sign the contract, dude. You get some smoke now. I'm gonna give you all the smoke.
You get all the smoke.
You get all the smoke, and he gave it to him too.
He did. He didn't let up.
Oh man,
that was ugly.
But he's not supposed to.
He's not. He's a young bull.
Yes, you got in the ring with the bull, and now he's gonna give you the horns.
Now he's giving you the horns. Which, speaking of which. Back to Manny Pacquiao. I hope the senator retires.
But he's acting like he's not.
I hope he becomes the president of the Philippines because it seems as though he always has come across as a great person, like he's interested in helping
solid
people.
Individual.
He looked really bad in the fight,
before
the fight.
Yes.
Ugas is not a young bull. Ugas is the 34, and he's a Cuban 34, so who knows if he's actually 34?
Yes. And not only that, I mean, Ugas is a good fighter, but I wouldn't consider him a great fighter.
He's not an A fighter. Not in my opinion. He's too easy to hit.
Yes.
And thank the Lord on high that Errol Spence Jr., that they found this problem in his eye, because he might have actually killed Manny Pacquiao. Yeah. He might have given him permanent damage.
Some disabilities, you know, because I don't think that he could have recovered from that beating that he would have got from that.
If Ugas was able to find him like that, Manny's making every excuse in the book saying, his legs weren't there and blah, 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 blah. They weren't excuses, really. It's just, this is age.
Those are excuses.
When
you make up something because of your performance, it's an excuse. And he's making up excuses, and this is not acceptable because Ugas was the better fighter and probably is the better fighter right now.
Yeah.
Manny has done his thing. Nobody should be mad at him. Nobody should be
greatest of all time.
I mean, but you went out there too many times, and Ugas opened up a can of, you know what it is. Of the whoop.
Whoop ass.
Hey, dude, close that back up. No, wait. Don't open it right here.
Sorry, dude. Sorry. Opened it up on Manny, but I just couldn't stop myself. Yeah, and it's the truth. But thank God that he didn't fight a more dangerous fighter. And good for Ugas. I'm not taking anything away from Ugas.
No.
Ugas did what he was supposed to do. He got paid. And guess what? Now he's lined up to make some really big money fighting whoever it is that he's going to fight next with his belt.
All that we made here.
Yep.
Because
you called it.
Yeah, I don't believe that an older fighter like that has the He used to have the capabilities of beating a Ugas, but he doesn't have it anymore. He could have figured out a game plan maybe to get inside or something. But Ugas wasn't like a moving target or anything like that. He was standing right in front of him, popping the jab.
And this is what Manny said. I heard him say the thing that he said that was heartbreaking, but was also felt like an admission, was he said, Ugas should have been my easiest opponent that I've ever had in the ring. He said, because he only had one style.
Yes.
He said, and I was not able to change and combat that one style.
But now he's hinting towards he might want a rematch. And I think Ugas might put him to sleep the next time.
All right, the only other chance that he has is that since if he does get a rematch, it won't be 2 years out of the ring like it was with Thurman.
But neither for Ugas. Ugas be ready.
I agree.
You know,
and Ugas' biceps should be back together.
Yeah. I mean, come on, man. This is where the sanctioning bodies have a problem, and what Robbie was talking about is because they're going to let these guys fight because it's entertainment.
It's entertainment,
but
it's
it's
about the
dangerous.
Money. Yeah.
At
that level, it's dangerous.
At that level and at his age and at his performance level right now, it's not acceptable to watch him go out there and fight these younger guys, well, not even that much younger, but he's been through wars. The dude's been knocked out, 3 times or something like that?
Manny?
Yeah.
Yeah, and in like complete knockout fashion, like over.
Like my pillow knockout.
Yeah.
You know what
Mike
I'm saying?
Lindell? What don't you understand? The machines were rigged. They were. I have the evidence. The machines were completely rigged. It's gonna come out on July 39th.
You got me with that one. Got me a little Lindell action. I can get no comeback.
That guy is a real nut.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, he got put to sleep several times. He did his thing though.
He's been doing wars. Marquez, like I said, he's been. I mean, come on, man. Morales, he's fought all kind of cats. He's done his
Fought
thing.
giants.
Yeah.
Fought guys. When he fought Margarito, he looked like it looked
little
like
kid.
Yeah, it looked like Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather.
Claudio, Cotto, you name it. But
Name it.
now it's over, man.
Mosley.
Yeah, it's over, and it's fine because you have a great career. Even when but this is where you have to go out. It seems like the fighters aren't happy until they get beat to a pulp and they have to get dragged out the ring.
I believe that's a product of the CTE.
Maybe so.
I really think that's clinically a product of the CTE. Like you have to continue. It tells you to keep going, and that's a product of getting your head banged around.
I don't think that's what's doing it. I think what's doing it is that the crowd cheering him on and telling. You should see everybody that even when they signed Ugas up to fight him, he was still the favorite. He looked terrible. He looked terrible when he was training for Errol. He looked terrible training for Ugas. He just looked terrible, and it's not even a knock on him. It's just that his time has passed, and maybe he's got a trick that we just don't know about.
Yeah, that's all it is. To wait, what do you mean?
That he's going to come back and turn into a different person.
Yeah, that you're insinuating the needle or something.
No.
Okay. I just want to clear that up. But for me, speaking of which, 2 young studs that just signed up to fight, Jamel Herring and Shakur Stevenson are going to fight in Atlanta in October. Now, that's going to be a great fight. I'm very excited about that. Herring is legit.
I know. I still think Shakur needs a little bit more seasoning.
That's why I think it's going to be a great fight, because this is going to be the tester fight. The problem with Shakur is he gets in there and totally dominates and has to carry guys to get rounds.
Right.
He's not going to have to carry Herring. No. That's not what's going to happen.
And this is where I'm talking about the seasoning kicks in, because he might not be prepared to fight that.
You don't know until you do it, though. That's how
you get up your game.
This is how you up your game. I'm very excited for that fight. I just read that Clarissa Shields just signed on for a massive fight against Savannah Marshall, which I do believe is going to be one of the bigger fights in women's boxing history as well. And she got a treat named after her. That's the one I saw.
Which is awesome, right?
Congrats, Chomp.
Yep.
Yeah, she did that. That was just great.
And she wants to come on the O-ZONE.
Ben want to come on. Maybe she come on and promote the Savannah Marshall match. The invite is there. She knows what time it is. What else do we got going in the world of boxing? Unfortunately, Big Charlo ran out on a bill because it sounds like he just got frustrated.
Yeah, people playing games with his card.
People play games with his card. Yeah. He walked out, and in classic Texas fashion, they're ready to throw him in the gulag.
Yeah, I mean, we need to wait for the details to come out.
Yeah, I anticipate that's going to go away.
Yeah, because from the information that I read, they were playing around with his card. He got upset. And
I've had some of those circumstances happen myself.
Like, hey, man, don't disappear with my card. But I don't know the details. But it sounds like that
they're trying to get him for felony robbery, though, which is, and the threats, because he said he was going to tear the place up.
What can you do? He's a fighter.
Come on, man. Come on, Big Charlo. So we'll see what happens there. But moving on. Ladies and gentlemen, it's almost time for October baseball. But to get there, you got to get through September. And the Dodgers are back in first place after a sweep of the Braves. I have to be honest, I didn't expect the Dodgers to get back to first place this quickly, given the gap that they had to make up. Yeah, they were down 8.5 games. Don't be mad because the Padres ain't making no noise.
8.5 games ain't like no crazy stretch out of 162 games.
Okay, Chomp. So you can be mad at the Dodgers if you want to, but they're in first place, and the Giants look like they're falling apart.
The Giants are falling apart. Definitely, but they're playing against Milwaukee. But the Dodgers didn't look that good, even beating the Braves.
Well, I don't understand. They got the dub. What do they need to look like?
Well,
What do they need to look like for you?
They need to look like a team that could actually beat a complete solid team. So do you think that they can beat every team in the National League?
When they're healthy?
Yes.
Because Mookie Betts came back, and Mookie Betts looked like Mookie Betts.
Yeah, but
he's come back.
Your bullpen is not up to code.
I don't know about that.
What don't you know about? They give it up all the time. They give up the booty.
I don't know if they give up the booty. Ahoy!
I got you.
You right there.
Ping!
Turnaround jumper. Ping! Yeah, so yes, I don't know about that because Kenley's got almost 30 saves. He's blown him 4 or 5, but who hasn't? What's a couple blown saves amongst friends? You know, Kenley still goes out there. Some days he looks like the old Kenley, and some days he looks like an old Kenley. But for me, he's my fantasy closer. He's been getting it done. I think the Dodgers, when their
starting rotation's in flux.
It's in flux.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Kershaw is about to throw back the live hitters, though.
Yeah.
So I think that they'll have to figure out a way to get his arm strength. But
they'll be able to get his arm strength because one of the things that I did not know was that the minor league season has been extended a month this year.
Oh, probably because they started late.
Because they started late. So he might be able, if he comes back in the next couple of weeks, he'll be able to get his arm strength.
Don't have any setbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that the races are going to come down to it. A lot of it is going to come down to what they have on the MLB site now, which is the difficulty of scheduling the month of September. And the Padres got a really difficult schedule coming up.
Oh, the Padres are in trouble.
They're in major trouble.
The Padres are in serious trouble.
Yeah.
Because
Blake Snell finally showed up, and now the rest of the pitchers can't pitch.
Yeah. Well, Chris Paddock looked good the other night, but one of the problems is that you have
He's facing a bum squad.
Yeah, and Darvish came back.
And got his tits ripped.
Yeah, so they're struggling, man. Yeah. And their bullpen is
I was about to say, their bullpen gives up the booty.
Yeah, you have two guys in the back end of the bullpen that are halfway decent, which is Melanson and your boy. What's the hard thrower? The
Pagan?
Yes. Emilio.
I almost gave you Angel.
No,
I don't know what Angel Pagan is doing right now. Somewhere stroking his hair.
Nice mane.
Beautiful mane, especially when he had a triple. He brought in Triple's alley up there.
Or when he runs it down.
When he go get it. So then you have on the other side of the coast, you got the New York Yankees rattled off their best winning streak in 60 years.
Yeah, but now they're in a losing streak and losing to the Angels.
But their ace came out and showed up and deaded that losing streak. My question to you is Aaron Judge underrated?
Very much so. I think that he's in the top, probably the top 10.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking maybe even top 5. He's definitely in the top 10 players in all of baseball.
Yes. I mean, honestly, what do you have? Like, you have Shohei. Of course, you throw Mike Trout in there. You have
when he's playing. But what we're talking about right now, when he's not playing.
But we have Aaron Judge. But even when Aaron Judge is not playing, he's still one of Mike Trout. They still consider him one of the better players.
I understand. I'm talking about actually right now.
Yeah,
I understand.
You're talking about a guy that can do literally everything on the field. He's great. He's got great defense.
Crazy defense. Yeah. I feel like it's totally underrated.
Strong arm. He's fast, even though actually they act as or implies
that he's not fast, but he can skate.
Yeah,
he just doesn't look fast because he's a giant.
Yeah, because he's 6'7".
Yeah.
I mean, the dude.
But he's moving.
Hit for average, hit for power, and one of the best.
He's clutch.
And one of the best things about him is that he's still young. So he's got a lot of growing in game
for development.
Yeah, come on, man.
One thing that I really liked, I saw last night that he did in that Angel game, Steve Cechek actually threw a ball that almost hit him. It was a two-seamer that ran in and almost hit him in his knee. And he still looked at him, he stared him down. He stepped out of the box, he turned around. Then Cechek threw him a slider that ran away from him that he fouled off late. Then Cechek hung a slider, and it's still flying.
And it's over here in SoFi.
Exactly. I mean, the dude
gave you great Vladimir Guerrero, huh?
Yeah, big-time ball player.
Senior.
Yeah, junior, big time too, though.
Yeah, but I'm just
and my Blue Jays are falling apart. The Blue Jays can't even beat the Baltimore Orioles. They ain't going nowhere.
No, they might, but they're young though, And George Springer's been in and out the lineup, so that always hurts. And if he's in and out of the lineup, because it seems what he brought to that and what they paid for was him to show them how to win.
Yes.
And when he's in the lineup, he
shows them how to win.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has more
They need help
confidence.
in the bullpen.
Yeah.
Desperately.
Oh,
They had to release Brad
They
Hand.
just brought up Nate Pearson. Was it today or yesterday?
Shout out to Hill Harper. And but they had to get rid of Brad Hand. They traded for Brad Hand.
He stunk the joint up.
Stunk the joint up, had to release him, gave him his papers. Meanwhile, the Tampa Bay Rays just keep scoring runs and winning games.
They don't play the glitzy glamour game. They play the winning game.
They play the winning
And so
game.
they're going to be a problem anytime they get, because they do have a bullpen and they do have frontline pitching, and they just
They got some speed.
and they have a little pop.
Pop.
Got your boy
Carlos
Nelson Cruz.
Boyle. They got Nelson Cruz.
Yeah.
They got
Brett
Lau.
Phillips. Yeah, Brandon Lau. They're the real deal, man. They're
Yeah.
a problem. Look, man. Zunino.
It's gonna be interesting. Zanino got big pop.
Yes.
He strikes out a lot. He's got big pop.
Comes with big pop.
Seems like the Central in both divisions are the least contestable, situations.
Milwaukee is a problem. People don't look at them like that because they play.
They never show up though. That's the thing.
Well, but because their pitchers are still developing. You talk about Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff. Both of them are still in their 20s, and both of them are two of the best pitchers in baseball. So
I
they're
think
going to
miss out on.
They're always
on
going to be in the game.
Jesus Aguilar.
What? No, then you miss out. Because what they do bring is a crazy bullpen, front and the middle relief, and the back end of the bullpen are monsters. You got Devin Williams, you have Josh Hader, and then you're talking about a three-headed monster with Freddie Peralta, Corbin, and Woodruff. That's enough to win series, man.
It's enough to win, especially a short series.
Yes. So any of those teams that run into them can have a problem. I think the problem, the team that's having a problem are the Philadelphia Phillies. You don't never know what Philly team's going to show up.
I think the bigger problem is the New York Mets.
Yeah, but no, the Mets are out of it.
The Mets, and it's hard to be mad at Javi being Javi, but they brought him over there and then they're surprised that he's Javi.
Yeah.
They had this whole debacle with the fans with the thumbs up, thumbs down.
Can't do that to the fans, man. They pay the bills.
I don't know. It seemed like them and the fans came to an understanding because after that, Javi showed improved and he started balling
Yeah,
and they
but-
won some games.
But the owner had to come and rip everybody a new one, too.
Then you have the acting general manager getting caught coming from the owner's house,
He got a little
intoxicated
tipsy.
behind the wheel. He had
Yeah.
to take a nap
Yeah.
on the highway. I just say this all speaks to a bigger problem with the Mets, and even though they have a new owner, something's going to have to happen because it spits. I spit. It sits along right with the same values that they have with all their pitchers always getting hurt. Strength and conditioning is never right.
I mean,
And nobody produces when they go there. Why can't you produce for the Mets? I don't
we
get
know
it.
people in the Mets organization, but they're actually doesn't seem to be a very solid organization.
Doesn't seem like it.
As far as, they never can seem to totally or completely put it together.
They have all the pieces.
They have all the pieces. I mean, you have the best pitcher in baseball when he's playing. When he's
By
pitching.
far.
Yeah, it's not even close now.
It's not even close. Jake DeGrom is the best pitcher on the planet.
Yes, but he can't pitch.
You can't stay on the field. And then you had that rash before you, that rash of forearm strains, that rash of whatever. It's
Hammy.
always something. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always something with
Now
them.
we have Lindor go down. You paid an arm and a leg for Lindor, but now he can't play. Javi Baez came in and reported to the DL ASAP.
Exactly. Right after the physical.
Come on, yeah, and the only person that's still out there consistently is Pete Alonso.
Yeah, and then he doesn't have any help. So,
Jeff McNeil is in and out. But
Yeah.
Brandon Nimmo, so the Mets.
I like Brandon Nimmo. He plays hard.
But they're
I
out
hear
of
what
it.
you're saying.
They're out
I hear
of
what you're saying.
They
So-
got to look for next year.
But I'm interested in the Phillies. I like the Phillies. I like the Braves. Even though the Braves are hurt, if Ozzy Albies come back,
Yeah.
the Braves have got a lot of pieces.
They do have a lot of pieces, but
The Braves pull Eddie Rosario off their bench.
and that young kid is one of their best pitchers, if not the best pitcher that they have.
And Jorge Soler goes to launch. Well, I don't care where he is.
Well, it seems like, him being relocated, coming into a new place, it's revitalizing because, he's actually playing in the outfield now. And I think that, this is where the DH hurts because
Yeah.
in the American League and when you're growing up playing the game, if they ask you to come off the bench or do a pinch hit situation, if you're a guy that never does that or whatever,
It's a very specific skill.
yes, and it's very, very hard to do. The Dodgers had Manny Mota forever that they, that was his stick.
He was incredible at it.
You could never find anybody better than Manny Mota.
Yeah.
But when you talk about a guy nowadays growing up playing all day, every day, and then all
And
of a
we're
sudden,
seeing it with Shohei Ohtani.
yeah, when he gets to play the game, when he's pitching and everything, you don't know what you might see because the guy
You're going to see
wants
something
play the game.
spectacular.
Yeah,
the guy
guy
just
wants
stole
to play.
home the other day.
Yeah.
He's got 20 stolen sacks. He's technically 20-20, which nowadays is the new 40-40 with the slide step.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the guy, you can't say enough about him.
His numbers are through the roof,
Numbers are insane.
and they said he was on the place to hit how many 57, 58 bombs.
Something crazy. Just keep him in the lineup. He's going deep.
Yeah, if you can keep him healthy. I understand about them resting him every now and then.
I do too.
You know,
and
but-
I think Joe Madden has a better understanding than Mike Socha did about how to use him.
I think that the Angels actually probably deceived him on signing with them.
I think so too.
You know, because I think that they told him they were going to let him play both ways. And when he got there, they're like, "Oh no, we didn't mean both ways. We just meant some days."
There was a bad connection.
And
International calls, dude.
they're letting the dude pitch every 7 or 8 days, and he's a pitcher. You know,
Yeah.
and actually everybody can see he's one of the best pitchers in baseball.
Yeah.
And he's actually one
consistent.
best hitters in baseball, one of the best base runners in baseball. And one of the things that they have to get out of is thinking that he can't play in the field, because he actually can play in the field as well.
I agree. Yeah, what an action-packed episode of the Ozone. We're going to have more for you straight off the Zoom for an espresso shot, because it's time for college football. We got some picks and tips for you for the next weekend that's coming up for college football. Also need to talk about the NFL, Jameis Winston, Cam Newton. It's a lot to cover, but we're going to wrap this episode of the Ozone up. We're going to wrap you up with a quote. And the quote is, strong people stand up for themselves, but stronger people stand up for others. We're all in this thing together, ladies and gentlemen, and this melting pot is getting real stewy nowadays. Please take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. I'm your host, Omar Miller, and this is the Ozone.
Ozone.
I'm just living the dream.